Okay, hello friends. In today's lecture, I am going to discuss with you ozone depletion or ozone hole. That is the part of unit number 2, environmental pollution. Sub part is the air pollution. So, ozone depletion or ozone hole, it means that is the reduction in concentration of ozone in a stratosphere. It is monitored worldwide since 1950s, and sites are which are the sites, that means the site at which the site at where the concentration of ozone layer in the stratosphere is measured. Those are the Halley base station at Antarctica, but by British Antarctic survey in 1980s, the noticeable decline in ozone was found. Okay. Now, during the springtime, this event occurs due to the climate factors and some accumulation of reservoirs of the chemical species. The phenomena can be understood by taking the Antarctic ozone hole, which illustrate poles vortex and leads to forming the stratospheric clouds in the absence of light. The definition of the ozone hole, that is a study of decline of above external bilayer of ozone surrounding the earth and the formation of an internal layer of ozone is called as a ozone hole formation. Okay. Once again, a study decline of above external bilayer of ozone surrounding the earth and formation of an internal layer of ozone is known as a ozone hole formation. Okay, in addition to these well-known ozone destruction phenomena, various seasonal and industrial factors are also responsible. So, the most important process is both damaging of the external bilayer as well as the formation of hole in internal bilayer is involve the atomic halogens, the main particulate in the air that is responsible for the ozone depletion, that is the atomic halogens, mainly that is the CFC, that is the chlorofluorocarbons. The main source of these halogen atoms surrounding the earth is man-made nuclear bombs and halocarbons, that is CFC chlorofluorocarbons also. These compounds are transported into the atmosphere by air after being emitted by the various sources, that is the air pollution. And those phenomena of ozone depletion were observed to increase the emission of halocarbons. The CFC and other contribution substances are reflected to as ODS, that is the ozone depletion substances, since the ozone prevents the most harmful ultraviolet, that is 280 to 350 nanometer of UV rays from passing through the earth atmosphere. Now, in greenhouse effect, the second most important effect because of the air pollution, that is the greenhouse effect. Okay, so what is greenhouse effect? Here in atmosphere, carbon dioxide and water vapor strongly absorb infrared radiation and effectively block a large fraction of the earth emitted radiation. The radiation absorbed by this carbon monoxide and water vapors, okay, carbon dioxide and water vapor is partly re-emitted to the earth surface. The net result is earth surface get heated up. This phenomena is known as a greenhouse effect. Okay. Once again, what is a greenhouse effect here? So, the mainly in atmosphere what happen, the carbon dioxide and water vapors are there. That means the carbon dioxide emitted as a pollutant in the air. When these carbon dioxide are combined with the water vapor, what happen? Those are strongly absorb the infrared radiation, IR radiation, and block a large fraction of earth emitted radiation. What happened? They block the large fraction of the earth emitted radiation, that means the radiation that is emitted from the surface of the earth into the atmosphere, and because of that reason what happened, there was the layer of CO2 and water that absorb the infrared radiation and the earth surface. When earth surface emit the radiation in the atmosphere, what happen? That radiation is not enter into the atmosphere, but they are absorbed by the layer that is formed by CO2 and water vapors. and the radiation is absorbed by CO2 in water vapors are then re-emitted. That means that radiation that is emitted by the earth surface get absorbed by the layer, and that layer re-emit the radiation towards the surface of the earth. That means the radiation is not enter into the atmosphere, but it is re-emitted towards the surface of the earth, and because of that reason what happen, the surface of the earth is heated up, the temperature is rise up. This phenomena is known as a greenhouse effect phenomena. Carbon dioxide, water vapor and other gases present in the atmosphere act as a glass which allows certain radiation come in and certain radiation go out. Okay, high energy radiation like UV radiation that is 300 nanometer goes out, and higher and near UV radiation are allowed to re-emitted by the gaseous molecules to the earth. This gaseous molecule act as a window. Okay, the unabsorbed radiation in the region of the atmospheric window is the range of 8,000 to 13,000 centimeter inverse. That is the important MCQ. The reflectivity of earth is 31% and 69% is the non-reflectivity. Reflectivity by clouds is 70%, aerosol by 8%, surface by 6%, non-reflectivity by land water is 46%, aerosol gas are 19%, atmosphere is 4%. Okay. So, the above spectrum here, that is the spectrum, that is the atmospheric window here, that is the atmospheric window, that is the H2O absorption spectrum, and that is the CO2 absorption spectrum. Now, by keep this spectrum in mind, the spectrum above shows absorption of IR by two important gases like CO2 and water vapor. Water absorb IR of region 4000 to 33,000 centimeter inverse and 2000 to 1215 centimeter inverse and below 700 centimeter inverse, and CO2 absorb IR in the region of 710 to 530 centimeter inverse and to 2500 to 2300 centimeter inverse. From the overall absorption pattern of CO2 and water indicates that the mass, that means the soft or weight, the pulpy mass of the radiation of IR absorb about 30,000 nanometer and below 8,000 nanometer. That is called the atmospheric window. Now, leaving the region 8,000 to 30,000 nanometer, the region 7.7 to 13 micrometer through these thermal energies escape into the space, and hence this region is known as a atmospheric window. Okay, other gases are closing this window. The main point here is the impact of greenhouse effect. It has a greater impact upon the global climate. Increase in CO2 increase the temperature, increase the evaporation of water. About 3 degrees Celsius rise in surface temperature due to the projected doubling the CO2 occur around 2050 AD. About 1 degree Celsius increase can affect the food production, biological productivity of the ocean. It reduce the transport of nutrients from deeper layer to the surface by vertical circulation. Those are the main impact of the greenhouse effect. It may rise the water level of ocean because of melting the glacial ice at poles. In 1980, CO2 levels was 282 ppm, but today it is 397 ppm. Increase in sea level through the coastal cities, some island that face deep inroads by the sea like Maldives, Bangladesh may be totally immersed into the sea, into the ocean because of the greenhouse effect. In India, the Madras, Goa may meet similar fact. That means after 2050 AD, because of greenhouse effect, may the Madras and Goa that may be merged into the ocean. That means, okay, so the climate is also affect violent cycle or expected average temperature of the earth. So these are the impact of greenhouse effect. Acid rain. So, in atmosphere, NOx and SOx are converted into the nitric acid and sulfuric acid by photochemical reaction as follows. The reactions are given to you: NO plus O3 gives NO2 plus O2, then this NO2 is react with ozone to give NO3 plus O2, then this NO3 is react with NO2 gives N2O5, and this N2O5 react with water to gives 2 moles of nitric acid. Similarly, SO2 is react with 1/2 of the oxygen and water to give sulfuric acid. So, those are HNO3 is then removed as a particulate matters after reaction with the base like alkali. Okay. So, the soot particles like the black powder or the flaky substance are there. The presence of hydrocarbons and NOx increase the oxidation rate of reaction. Now, what is acid rain? In water droplets, ion like manganese, iron, nickel, copper catalyze the oxidation reaction, and soot particles are also known to be strongly involved in the catalyzing the oxidation of SO2. HNO3 and sulfuric acid combine with HCl, that is the definition of acid rain. HNO3 and sulfuric acid combine with HCl to generate the acidic precipitation, which is widely known as acid rain, and it is a major problem nowadays. Acid rain causes extensive damage to the buildings, sculpture of the marble, limestones, slate, etc. These materials become pitched, that means there was a cavity, form a cavity on the particular marbles or limestones, and they becomes weak, mechanically leach out by rainwaters. Here is the reaction: calcium carbonate, that is from the limestone or the slate or the marble, when react with the acid rain, sulfuric acid, it becomes CaSO4, calcium sulfate, carbon dioxide and water, H2. It becomes brittle, it becomes weak. Okay. In Greece, Italy, invaluable stone statues have been that is partially dissolved in acid rain, and in India, Taj Mahal also affected by the acid rain. Acid rain also damaged the level of the trees and leaves of the trees and plants, and decrease the growth of forest also. In Europe, the sulfuric acid and particles of the cadmium and lead are deposited on the winter snows, and when these melts, the pollutants enter the rivers and lakes, and hence it destroying the fish eggs. Sulfuric acid is a major contributor to acid precipitation. HNO3 ranks second, HCl ranks third. So, acid precipitation shows a correlation, the movement of the air mass or major source of the anthropogenic sulfur and nitrogen oxide emission. The fourth phenomena, that is known as the El Nino phenomenon. The El Nino, okay, two phenomena are here. El Nino phenomena is not a regular event, okay. It takes place once every 5 years. Give me a minute. On the average, okay. Normally, what is El Nino phenomena? So, normally water of Eastern Pacific remains cold. Okay, keep in mind those words. The Eastern Pacific waters remain cold, that is 10 degrees Celsius, than that of the Western Pacific. That means that is the phenomena between the Eastern Pacific and the Western Pacific water levels. Okay. So, what happened here? The Eastern Pacific water is 10 degrees Celsius colder than the Western Pacific water, but once every 5 to 10 years, for the Eastern Pacific water is warm up little bit, that is 28 degrees Celsius, which disturb the upwelling of the cold water. Sorry. Okay, this in turn disturb the anchovy fishery and economy. Anchovy, that is the name of the fish. Anchovy fishery business in the Pacific areas. This phenomena is known as El Nino phenomena. Okay, normally the trade wind blow along the equator from the southeast Pacific towards the west, pushing warm water out of the sea. That is the normal condition. What happened normally? The trade wind, that is the flow of the air, the trade wind blow along the equator from the, that is the southeast Pacific towards the west, that is pushing the warm water out of the sea. But when El Nino phenomena is occur, what happened? The wind direction change from west to east. That means there was a change from west to east, and because of that reason, it reached to South American coast and kill the cold water fish. Okay, the phenomenon become reverse, and because of that reason, the cold water becomes warm, and because of that El Nino phenomena, the anchovy fishery business is shut down and the fish kill the cold water fish. The warm water also warm the air and which lower the atmospheric pressure also. This phenomena since 1982 is attracted in international concern. Okay, in the late 1960, it was found that El Nino is a coincidence with the southern oscillation or the relationship between atmospheric pressure and sea surface temperature over South East Pacific and the Indian Oceans also. So, here two events are there, El Nino and southern oscillation are known as the UNSO phenomena. Okay. That means the combination of El Nino phenomena and the southern oscillation, that means the decrease in the pressure, decrease in the atmospheric pressure, these two phenomena are combinedly known as the UNSO phenomena. In order to forecast the UNSO event, it is necessary to monitor the regular sea surface temperature of Peru and atmospheric pressure difference between the Tahiti and the Darwin. Effect of El Nino phenomena. Due to the lower temperature, eastern Pacific is flourished with aquatic life, and as a result produce anchovy fishes which is being eaten by birds and also sold to other countries, but the deposit of dung around the nesting sites of the birds is harvested by the Peruvian and sold as a reach to fertilize. When El Nino occurs due to the unfavorable atmosphere, the fish and other aquatic life are died, which is followed by the bird's death and hence affect the Peruvian economy also. The warm water also warm the air and lower the atmospheric pressure, and because of that reason the Chile coast with low pressure thus change the rain pattern in the southern Pacific, which in turn leads to extensive droughts and heavy floods in other parts of the world. El Nino affect the climate over other part of the globe also, like Australian sandstorms, drought in Africa, cyclones in Tahiti and floods along California Sea, etc. The DOAS method, that is called the differential optical absorption spectroscopy method. That is the diagram of the method. The source, that is 250 to 300 nanometer is there. The telescopic lens are here, telescope lens distance, that is capital L, that is the sample, that is the cuvette, the spectrophotometer, that is the spectrophotometer, okay, that is your PC, that is the signal recorder device. In differential optical absorption spectroscopy method, that is some points given to you, that is DOAS allow the quantitative determination of the atmospheric traces of the gaseous concentration by recording and evaluating the characteristic absorption line or band of the trace molecules along the absorption path of known length. Okay. The some points here are: number one, that is measuring the transmitted light intensity over a relative broad spectral interval, that is point number 1. Second, that is the high pass filtering of the spectra, obtaining differential absorption signals and eliminating the broad band in some extent. It also overcome the scattering of the light. And third one, that is for quantitative determination of the traces gases by column density measurement and matching the data with the reference material. So, that is the DOAS method. Here a beam of transmitted light is used with a relatively broad spectral interval. When using the differential absorption signals, they are eliminate the broadband and we got the sharp peak here. And in quantitative determination method, we can use the density measurement techniques. Those are matched with the reference material also. Then DOAS having advantage of other spectrometric method, including the inherent calibration, that is sensitivity of the measurement at ppm level or ppt level also with the high accuracy and precision. The atmospheric pollutant which are measured with the help of that DOAS methods are generally they are like OH radical, NO3, ClO radical, IO radical, BRO radical. These are determined with the help of DOAS methods. Also some SO2, ozone, NO, NOx, ammonia, hydrocarbons, Okay, monocyclic hydrocarbon also measured with the help of DOAS method. The advantage of the application is concentration are desired, and the source which are used here, the lens system, the telescope consists of two lenses with the appropriate arrangement with the appropriate light beam that emit between 250 to 390 nanometer. The two place, that is light source and the spectrophotometers. Now, the non-dispersive continuous stream infrared analyzer NDIR, that is a non-dispersive continuous stream infrared analyzer. That is the diagram. The IR source is here, that is the chopper, that is on off condition is here, and that is the IR active materials like CO2, CO, that is the measured gas fill here, sample is inlet, sample outlet is here, and that is the inert gas, and the reference cell is also here, pure form of gas which analyze, that is the reference, that is the diaphragm, that is the controller, and the readout device is here. Okay. A very important group of IR instrument consisting of the spectrophotometer is used for the quantitative measurement, either as a part of a continuous the industrial monitoring process or for the environmental studies. Okay, this type of instrument are known as NDIR instrument, that is NDIR is nothing but it is the combination of the IR instrument with the spectrophotometric instrument. That combination is known as the NDIR instrument. And these instruments are mainly used for IR active species like carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. Okay, the radiation from the two identical IR radiation source is passed through a chopper that block both the source simultaneously with equal on off period. That means the chopper is given to you when the chopper is the circulation of the chopper is there, that is on off kind of system is there. When the chopper is on, what happens? The IR is passed through the particular sample is passed, when chopper is off it is cut off, like it is a one kind of cut off system to stimulate the IR radiation from the source. This is done to minimize the variation in the signal due to the fluctuation in the emitting temperature and source intensity also. Then one beam of the radiation is passed through the sample cell. Okay, that means one IR beam is passed through sample cell, while another beam of IR is passed through the pure gas or pure reference material. Reference cell is there, which is highly polished tube, conduct the radiation energy by multiple reflections. The gaseous sample from the process stream follow continuous through this cell. The other beam of radiation then passes to the detector, a cell compartment filled with the pure gas that is being analyzed. Now, a non-absorbing pressurizing gas may be added to the detector, optimizing the sensitivity. That means, here the comparison between the sample the air sample and the pure gas, that means the emission or the absorption of the IR radiation by some the reflection of particular that radiation or by absorbing the radiation is measured with the help of a detector system. The detector is divided into the separate block by a flexible diaphragm. That means, the detector is separated or that is differentiate from the whole IR system. Okay, that means, with the help of a particular diaphragm, detector is separated out from the two source samples, two IR radiation. From one is a sample source, another is a pure or reference material. The sample site of the detector reserving less radiation energy than the diaphragm expanded out from the reference site into the sample site. Okay, the diaphragm position is balanced by the electrical supply, and finally it is balanced. That means, whenever what happen here, the thermal energy, because of the here the point is given to you, the reserving less radiation energy. That means, whenever the IR beam is passed through the sample cell, what happened? Because of the absorption of the IR by the pollutant present in the air sample, the intensity of the IR is decreased, while in pure gas there is the absence of pollutant, and because of that reason the intensity of the IR is higher compared to the sample cell. Because of that reason, there was the level of the diaphragm is changed. Okay, that means, when the sample is enter the beam from the sample is entered, the diaphragm is displaced from the original position. When the pure gas is entered, the beam is entered from the pure gas. So that position of the diaphragm is balanced with the help of electrical supply. The deflection in the position of the diaphragm can be measured with the help of a detector, and on the basis of that deflection you can measure the amount of pollutant present in the air sample. So that's all about the instrumentation to measure the air sample also. Okay, so that is all about the part 1 of your unit, that is the air pollution environmental analysis. The second portion of the unit, that is the water pollution and soil pollution. Just a minute. That is the part of solid waste management. Okay, I already discussed that point, solid waste management, in unit number 4. The next topic, that is water pollution as well as land pollution or soil pollution. Okay, so water pollution is the second point. So where is the water pollution? It's a huge material that contains all the topic, that is water pollution, soil pollution. These are the major pollutants in the source, okay, which I already discussed with you. Some reactions are also given here. The PAN, that is the secondary pollutant. The full form is given here. What is PAN? It is peroxyacyl nitrate. The full form of PAN is peroxyacyl nitrate. Here is some effect on vegetables and plants, on the buildings and materials. Okay, the method for removal. Is the air pollution. Okay, that is the water pollution. So what is the definition of a water pollution? Any physical, biological or chemical change in the water quality that adversely affect living organism, makes water unsuitable for certain uses, is referred as a water pollution. The sign of polluted water: water has a bad taste or odor, offensive odors from rivers, lakes, ocean. There is a reduction in the number of aquatic life like fish in the rivers, sea or fresh water. These are the main signs. Oil or grease floating on the surface of water, the unchecked growth of aquatic weeds in water bodies, presence of color due to the organic matters. Okay, the potable water. The water which is suitable for drinking is known as a potable water or wholesome water. It is free from impurities. Okay, it should be odorless and colorless. You know the properties of the water. It is free from the suspended solids and turbidity, free from toxic substance, etc. The pH value of the drinking water must be 6.5 to 8.5. Okay, type of water, that is the pure form of water, in the form of water known as distilled water. Mineral water, that means water with acceptable limits of mineral specified by the potable water standards. Tap water, water supply by the concerned authority available at homes polluted water, water containing harmful impurities, not suitable for any purpose. And some water quality parameters, like physical parameters are turbidity, color, odor and taste, suspended solids, temperature. Chemical parameters like total dissolved solids, that is called TDS, pH, acidity, alkalinity, hardness, chlorides, fluorides, metals, organic metals. Biological parameters like E. coli test for MP and most probable numbers, pathogens like bacteria, virus, protozoa, helminth. These are the agencies that playing important role in the specifying the norms of various effluent, that is the ISI, Indian Standard Institution, World Health Organization, WHO, Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR, and the United States of Public Health Service, USPHS. Okay, some physical parameters here. So, turbidity, odor and taste, color, suspended solids, temperature. Turbidity, you know that the presence of a suspended materials like clay or silt or finely divided organic materials, planktons and other inorganic materials in what is known as a turbidity. Water becomes turbid, it is not clear, that is called turbidity in the water, and those are the some parameters which are responsible for turbidity of the water. Turbidity is measured in naphthometric unit, that is the permissible limit is 5 NTU. Okay, environmental significance of the turbidity. The pressure of turbidity in natural water body imparts the color. It interferes with the penetration of light and photosynthesis process also. Water containing clay and other suspended particles may require treatment to make it suitable for intended use. Then color of the water. Pure water is colorless, but the presence of suspended solids give the apparent color to the water, okay, while dissolved solids may impart true color to the water. So, the color of the water is because of the suspended solids and some dissolved solids. This color in water is due to organic matters like leaves, wood, weeds, etc., industrial waste from paper and pulp production, textile dyeing operation, etc. Color measured by tintometers. Permissible limit of the color is 15 Hazen units. It can be removed by aeration method, adsorption method and oxidation process. Okay, environmental significance of the color. Pressure of color in water is not aesthetically acceptable. Highly colored water is not suitable for dyeing, laundering, beverages and dairy production. Sorry. Okay, odor and taste. The odor and taste in water may be due to the presence of mineral salts, domestic sewage, decomposition of organic matters and industrial waste, chemical compounds like phenol also. Odor is measured in terms of a threshold odor number, that is called TON or TN, threshold number. Okay, osmoscope is used to measure the odor of the water. Some environmental significance of the odor and taste are: the pressure of odor and taste in water is aesthetically displeasing and sometimes may be carcinogenic in nature. Then the suspended solids. Suspended solids are inorganic particles, clay, sleet, fine sands, and organic particles like plant residue, bacteria, algae, etc. present in water. Size of these particles vary from 100 micrometer to 1 micrometer. What are the environmental significance of the suspended solids? That is, the presence of suspended solids in water is displeasing. Degradation of the organic matter may result in the objectionable smell also. Okay, temperature. It is one of the important parameters in the natural surface water system. The shallow water bodies are affected by ambient temperature, while discharge of the thermal power wastewater, which is too hot, may alter the flora and fauna. Biological activity increase with increase in temperature. Okay, double with an increase in 10 degrees Celsius. So, environmental significance of the temperature is the temperature of water supply for the domestic use should be between 10 degree to 20 degrees Celsius. Temperature higher than 20 degrees is objectionable. density of water is maximum at 4 degrees Celsius temperature. Then some of the chemical parameters are also here. Those are the TDS, that is called total dissolved solid, pH, acidity, alkalinity, hardness, chlorides, fluorides, metals and organic matters, and these are the part of unit number 3. Okay, here the syllabus is here. Look at here. The monitoring techniques here, the sampling I already discussed with you. Total solids, alkalinity, acidity, chloride, sulfate, hardness, DOD, BOD, nitrate, pollutant of water, analysis of fuel gas, analysis of gases, pollutants in air, Kalf is a reagent. Instrumental techniques, I already discussed instrumental technique with you, that is atomic absorption spectrophotometer. Okay, X-ray fluorescence I not discussed with you, gas chromatography is also remain here. So, in water pollution, the toxic element and pesticides in water, their impact on enzymatic and biochemical processes here, but this point is the part of unit number 3. So, total dissolved solid TDS, you know, these are the organic particles and inorganic particles like mineral, metals and gases dissolved in water. Size of these particles are 10⁻³ micrometer to 10⁻⁵ micrometers. The environmental significance is dissolved solids may impact the color, taste and toxicity to the water. Some of the dissolved organic constituents have been found carcinogenic in nature. Degradation of organic matter may impart the objectionable smell. They can be removed by tertiary treatments like reverse osmosis, electrodialysis, distillation, ion exchange, zeolite process. Now, pH. So, pH is defined as the negative logarithm of the hydrogen ion concentration in the water is measure of degree of acidity and alkalinity of the water. You know the range of 0 to 14. Okay, that is the maximum acidity is 0, 7 is a neutral water, there is acidic water, alkaline water, maximum alkalinity is there here. pH value of neutral water is 7, that means at pH 7 water is neutral, you know all these terms. pH 0 to 7 is the acidic water, 7 to 40 is the alkaline water. For potable water, pH of water should be between star to star, that means the for potable water, that is 6.5 to 8.5. I already give this data 6.5 to 8.5. The low value of acidic water may cause the corrosion and the tuberculation, and high value of pH, that is alkaline water, may assert the biological activities. Now, what is the acidity? It is the capacity of substance to neutralize the hydroxyl ions, that is known as the acidity of the water. It is due to the presence of the minerals and dissolution of the carbon dioxide. Mineral acidity, it is due to the presence of minerals like sulfur and iron pyrites. pH ranges 0 to 4.5. CO2 acidity, it is due to the dissolution of CO2 in the water. Range is 4.5 to 8.5. Acidity is measured in milligram per liter as calcium carbonate. What are the environmental significances? Acidity interference in the treatment of water, that means as a softening of the water. Presence of acidity causes the corrosion of the metal and pipelines. Then alkalinity, it is the capacity of substance to neutralize the acid, that is the reverse of the acidity. It is due to the presence of bicarbonates, carbonates and hydroxide. Alkalinity is measured in milligram per liter as calcium carbonate also. Presence of alkalinity give a bitter taste to water and water becomes unpalatable. It is also required for chemical reaction with the coagulants like alum. Important point, that is called hardness. Give me a second please. The hardness of water may be defined as a soap destroying property of the water. The hardness, you know, that is two types, the temporary hardness and the permanent hardness. Sorry. Temporary hardness is due to the presence of carbonate and bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium. It is also called carbonate hardness. It can be easily removed by either boiling of the water, adding the lime to the water. That is called temporary hardness because of carbonate and bicarbonate of the calcium and magnesium. Now, what is the permanent hardness? Okay, permanent hardness is due to the presence of a sulfate, chlorides and nitrates of calcium and magnesium, and it cannot be removed by boiling, but it requires the special methods like water softening like zeolite or soda lime process. The permanent hardness is also called the non-carbonate hardness. Hardness is measured milligram per liter of the calcium carbonate. Hard water cause excessive consumption of the soap in the laundries. Hard water form deposits in the boilers. Groundwater is generally harder compared to surface water. To prescribe the hardness limit to the public supplies range between 0.75 to 115 ppm is there. Soft water, the hardness is 0 to 75, hard water 75 to 150, very hard water 150 to 300, extremely hard water is greater than 300 ppm, that is the hardness milligram per liter. We can use that data for the match the following type of question also. Now, chlorides. Chlorides are mainly due to the intrusion of seawater, brine solution, industrial waste and the domestic waste in the water supply sources. Chlorides are generally present in the water in the form of calcium chlorides, sodium chloride and magnesium chloride. Okay, now what happened to the environment because of chlorides? The chloride concentration in excess of 250 milligram per liter produce a noticeable salty taste in drinking water and are thus objectionable. Fluorides, water source contain natural fluorides. Fluorides are mainly associated with some sedimentary and igneous rocks. It is toxic to humans and other animals in large quantities, while small concentration can be beneficial. Fluoride in water less than 1 milligram per liter can cause dental cavities, that is important, dental cavities in children, while more than 1.5 milligram per liter may cause discoloration or mottling of the teeth, that is called fluorosis. Metals. All metals are soluble to some extent in water. Metals in natural water includes dissolution from the natural deposit, discharge of domestic, industrial and agriculture waste. Okay, environmental significance of the metal. You must remember all these points. Toxic metals are harmful to humans. Okay, then arsenic, barium, cadmium, chromium, lead, mercury are toxic metals. Non-toxic metals commonly found like sodium, iron, manganese, aluminum, copper. Okay, excessive concentration of sodium cause a bitter taste in water, cause health hazard like cardiac and kidney problems. Iron and manganese impart color in very small quantity also. Some organic matters. Okay, the organic matters here, the many organic matters are soluble in water. They came from natural sources like decay products of the organic solid or from human activities, wastewater from the domestic, industrial and agriculture sources. Dissolved organics like divided into two categories. Biodegradable organic consists like starch, fat, proteins, alcohol, acid, aldehyde, etc. And non-biodegradable organic consists of tannic acid, cellulose, phenols, etc. Okay, the organic matter in water bodies utilize dissolved oxygen of their degradation. The amount of oxygen consumed during the microbial utilization of organic is called the biochemical oxygen demand, BOD. Okay, the amount of oxygen consumed during the microbial utilization of the organics is called biochemical oxygen demand, and this may decrease the dissolved oxygen DO level and affects an aquatic system. Similarly, COD is known as a chemical oxygen demand. Some biological parameters here like bacteria, disease cause like cholera, diarrhea, typhoid, jaundice, protozoa, embedded dysentery, okay, giardiasis, virus, hepatitis, meningitis, poliomyelitis, etc. Some of the bacteria like the pathogenic bacteria are harmful. It causes diseases like cholera, typhoid, diphtheria, etc. But the non-pathogenic bacteria is not harmful. It is difficult to isolate the two. The combined group of the bacteria, that is pathogenic and non-pathogenic, is termed as the B. coli groups. The common bacteria in this group is known as E. coli, that is the Escherichia coli. Sometimes the group is termed as a coliform group also. Source of the water pollution, which are the source. Point source, they are the source of pollution from the single identified location, and the examples are discharge from the domestic, commercial and small industry wastewater to the sewer. Okay, wastewater generated from the industry like dye industry, textile, pulp and paper, oil, refineries, food processing, etc. Inorganic pollutants like chloride, sulfate, metal, oxide of metal, acid and alkalides. Organic pollutants like carbohydrates, proteins, oil, cellulose and phenols are there. That is the flow chart source of the water pollution. Oil pollution, industrial pollution, nuclear plants, well, nala, fertilizer waste, residential areas, okay, air pollutions, thermal power plants, acid rain, all these are waste treatment, that is the waste treatment plants, all are the source of water pollution. The second one is known as a non-point source, NPS. NPS is known as a non-point source. That is the source whose location cannot be easily identified are called the diffusion sources. For example, the pollutants scattered on the ground ultimately reach a water source and cause the water pollution like runoff from agriculture fields, eventually enter streams, rivers, lakes, etc. Air pollution get dissolved in the rainwater and contaminate the groundwater as well as surface water resources. Then groundwater pollution. The total water requirement will be served from groundwater, which is about 30 times more than surface water. Groundwater seems to be less prone to pollution as the soil mantle through which water passes help to retain various contaminants due to its cation exchange capacity. Okay, the figure shows you the potential source of groundwater contamination. Groundwater pollution with the arsenic, fluoride, nitrate are posing serious health hazards. That is the injection well. Okay, the solid waste disposal site is here, the wastewater treatment ground is here, the artificial sites are here, agriculture cattle is here, the drainage channels are here, septic tanks are also here. Okay, percolation method is there, unconfined aquifers are there, that is the groundwater, injection well, seawater and the confined aquifer. So, those are the sources by which the groundwater is also polluted. In surface water pollution, the major source of surface water pollutions are the industrial and municipal discharge. It is a principal point source, like municipal and industrial wastewater discharge are the principal point source, PPS. Then some more sources are also given here, like the industrial waste containing the toxic chemical, acid, alkali, cyanides, radioactive ammonia, etc. Agrochemicals are also the source, the diffuse non-points, that is a non-point source which affects surface water quality are discharged from the drainage channels, agriculture fields. Oil spillage into the seawater during the drilling and shipment pollute it. Synthetic detergents are also pollute the water. The major source of surface water pollutants are listed here. The sewage, industrial effluent, intensive use of chemical fertilizer, use of insecticide in agriculture, synthetic detergent use, oil spillage, discharge from nuclear power plant, discharge from the nuclear research center, radioactive ash throwing of dead animals in the water body, waste heat from industrial discharge. Those are the source of surface water pollutant. Classification of the water pollutants: organic pollutants, inorganic pollutants, sediments, radioactive pollutants and the thermal pollutants. Those are the main pollutants of water. Organic pollutants, they are classified into 5 categories. Those are oxygen demanding waste, the disease causing waste, synthetic organic compounds, sewage and agricultural runoffs. Okay, oxygen demanding waste, that is called DO, that is a dissolved oxygen. The amount of organic pollutant in water can be estimated by the finding dissolved oxygen in water, DO. The bacterial decomposition of organic waste in the presence of dissolved oxygen can be represented as following, that is called organic matter plus DO gives CO plus H2O. Biochemical oxygen demand, BOD is a measure of the amount of organic material in water in terms of how much oxygen will be required to break down biologically. And chemical oxygen demand, it is amount of oxygen required to oxidize the waste chemically, that is called COD. Disease causing waste, that means the most serious water pollutants are the infectious agent that causes sickness and death, the excrement from humans and other animals. Then synthetic organic compounds, like because water is such an excellent solvent, it is able to hold many chemical substances in solution that have undesirable effects. Those are synthetic organic compounds like petroleum products, some pesticides like PCB. PCB is the polychlorinated biphenyls. Okay, some organic substance with serious impact are the pesticides drift down from the aerial spraying or that runoff from the land areas and various industrial chemicals like PCBs. Some cleaning solvent like detergents also. Inorganic pollutants, the suspended solids, ions, cyanide, sulfides, acid come from the wastewater, phosphate come from the detergent, ferric and ferrous ions, chemical industries, minings like various metals, acid alkalis, toxic metal like mercury, CD, lead, AS, CO, Mn, those are the inorganic pollutants. Okay, sediments. Sediments are soil and mineral particles which are washed away from the land by flood waters and cause the pollution of surface water. However, erosion from the farmlands, the deforested slopes, construction site, mining site, roads can greatly increase the load of sediment entering the waterways. Sediments include silts, debris, sand and clay which have direct and extreme physical impacts on the streams and rivers. Those are called sediments in the surface water. Some radioactive material like water from nuclear power plants, fallout from nuclear weapon testing, uranium ore processing, waste from research laboratory, those are the radioactive materials. Some thermal pollutants are also here. Water is able to absorb the large amount of heat with small increase in its own temperature. It is much in use as a cooling medium also. So, the major type of pollutant, one table is given to you. Okay, by using this table you can summarize all those topics, that is the type of pollutants. I already discussed those points with you. The oxygen demanding waste, major sources are given here, and these are the effects of that particular pollutant, like plant nutrients, death of the submerged vegetation, production of large amounts of dead organic matters. Then acid is there, toxic matters like silver, mercury, lead, cadmium, the biomagnification of the toxic metal with each successive stage of the chain. Okay, so you can remember those. You must remember those points. DDT, that is direct application, agriculture runoff, and the aerial the crop spraying is there. PCBs are from sewage effluent and the landfill sites. Radiation is also there. Heat and the effect of water pollutants. Okay, waterborne disease like cholera, typhoid, the dysentery, infection, hepatitis, some organic waste, that is like the biochemical oxygen demand, the dissolved oxygen level is 8 to 15 ppm. Okay, I already discussed this point with you. The nutrients, nitrogen and phosphorus compounds, addition of nitrogen and phosphorus compounds in water helps to grow the algae and the plants. Some toxic compound like DDT. Okay, I already discussed that the effect of toxic compound DDT in the above table. When you summarize that table, if you read the table carefully, no need to read all these point. Okay. The metal, okay, some data are given here like nitrate for 45 milligram per liter, mercury dump in water convert into methyl mercury by the bacterial action. The disease call is the Minamata. Okay, the Minamata effect due to the mercury the blue baby, that is the methemoglobinemia disease in infants is observed due to the nitrate fluoride called the fluorescein, that is the mottling teeth fluorescein. Okay, so that is called decoloration of the teeth because of the presence of the fluoride in the water. Some metals like I mentioned here, that is because of the presence of lead, that is the damage of kidneys is possible. Because of mercury, that is cause the Minamata disease here. Chromium is carcinogenic to the nature, and the cadmium causes Itai disease with the painful rheumatic conditions. Aluminum causes Alzheimer disease. Suspended particles, thermal pollutants are also there. So, by using this table, the health effects of chemical parameters, total dissolved solid 2000 milligram per liter. These are the general health effects are given to you. pH, the range of pH is given to you. The effect is a nucleus membrane, bitter taste, corrosion, alkalinity is there, hardness is there. So, these by using this table, okay, આ ટેબલનો યુઝ કરીને આપણે આગળ જેટલું પણ ડિસ્કશન કરી ચૂક્યા છે બધા ડિસ્કશનની આ એક સમરી છે. તો તમે આખી જો બધું ના વાંચવું હોય ને ફક્ત આટલું ટેબલ તમે તૈયાર કરી દો તો આ ટેબલ પરથી તમને મોટાભાગની ઇન્ફોર્મેશન તમને મળી જશે. મેગ્નેશિયમ, કેલ્શિયમ, આયન એની શું ઇફેક્ટ થશે, એનું લેવલ કેટલું સેટ રાખવાનું છે, બરાબર છે. ઝિંક, ઓલ બધા જ આની અંદર આપણે આપી દીધેલા છે ઓલરેડી. શું ઇફેક્ટ કરશે, નાઇટ્રેટ, બ્લુ બેબી ડિસીઝ આપણે આગળ જોઈએ એમ સલ્ફેટ હોય તો એની ઇફેક્ટ શું થશે. ઓકે, સો દેટ ઇઝ ઓલ અબાઉટ વોટર પોલ્યુશન. ઓકે, અહીંયા સુધી વોટર પોલ્યુશન આવશે. ફક્ત આ એક ટેબલ, આમાં જે પણ આપણે બે ટેબલ જે છે આપેલા તમને, બંને ટેબલ બરાબર તમે તૈયાર કરી દેશો તો બાકીની જેટલી પણ અંદર ડિસ્કશન છે એ કદાચ વાંચવાની જરૂર ના પડે. એની સમરી છે એક આ ટેબલ તમને જે આપ્યું છે, દેટ ઇઝ ધ હેલ્થ ઇફેક્ટ ઓફ કેમિકલ પેરામીટર્સ, અને એક બીજું ટેબલ છે અહીંયા આપણને આપેલું છે. ધીસ વન ધ મેજર ટાઈપ ઓફ પોલ્યુટન્ટ, બરાબર છે. આ બંને ટેબલની અંદર આખું જે પણ ડિસ્કસ કર્યું છે એની સમરી આવી જશે. દેટ ઇઝ ઓલ અબાઉટ વોટર પોલ્યુશન. નેક્સ્ટ લેક્ચરની આપણે જોઈશું સોઇલ પોલ્યુશન વિશે. Okay, so here I am not discuss only unit number 2 with you, but as per our syllabus, okay, I am discuss 2 unit combinedly with you, that is unit number 2 as well as unit number 3. Okay, that means air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution plus these terms, that is unit number 3. Environmental chemical analysis method like DO, BOD, COD, nitrate. Okay, that means here unit number 2 and 3 are combined together. Okay, 2 units are combined here. Next lecture માં આપણે soil pollution વિશે થોડી વાત કરી લઈશું. કોઈ પણ ડાઉટ હોય, ક્વેશ્ચન હોય તો લેક્ચરમાં તમે અને અત્યારે નોટ ડાઉન કરી લેજો. લેક્ચર જ્યારે આપણે લઈશું ત્યારે લેક્ચરની અંદર તમે મને પૂછી શકો છો.